Oh, there's a ding down there. Did anybody see that ding? Oh, there's a ding right there. Oh, another ding. Perfect. Oh, there's another ding. Look at that. I don't know. Hello everyone and welcome back to that one playthrough of MMORPG Tycoon 2. I am Kyle once again, and you join me right where we left off, basically in the middle of building Karak. But before we move on to any more of that shenanigans, there's something really quickly we need to do. And that is, as some of you have been reminding me, I need to make some alchemist trainers. So let's go ahead and put one back in Brightwood here. We're going to migrate all the way over to... Where did I have the trainers in Eastwash? Are they over here? No, they were over here, yes. Inside kind of the Angari camp. And I had them kind of strategically placed in little tents, which is good. Now there is a potion shop. Is this? No, that's a merchant. Maybe, yeah, we'll just put this guy near the merchant, kind of like right there, next to the wizard, just like I did the potion shop and the other one. And then we need to place one over here in the marketplace in Zephyr, and we'll kind of do the same thing. It just kind of makes sense for me to have the alchemist trainer be near the potion shop, kind of like the wizard. It just makes more sense. And then I don't think I have any trainers inside Karak, but there probably should be at some point, and I'm thinking probably closer near the end and kind of whatever this is going to be, probably like another small town section. And then the next thing has probably got to make sure that we remember to incorporate this section of Karak. This is going to be, I think, I kind of wasn't sure if it was going to be lumberjacky or something else, and I think I'm going with a mine. I'm utilizing a mine more than anything. I think it makes sense for a large mountainous region to have a mine, and then that's something we can actually add later on when the Dungeons update comes out, is we can make a cool little dungeon out of it. What I do want to do, and I've been thinking about this and I was going back and forth for a while, it feels like going this way is a dangerous path, and that's pretty much true. It also goes past something that's more of a spectacle, and I feel like it should be hard to get here, and I feel like to some extent it is. You got to go past all the wolves, bandits down here, you've got a bunch of golems you got to fight through potentially, and then once you're into the Frozen Vale, you're actually relatively safe. But I kind of thought it would be good to have more of an avoidance quest line. You can choose to go the hard way, obviously, if you want to, but it doesn't make sense for everybody who travels the pass to kind of be like, oh yeah, we went past this super cool, super secret, holy region, essentially. So I'm going to make a mountain pass that cuts through this spot right here, near where we already kind of had a tunnel, into here, so that we go into this kind of camp region down here. Now the way we're going to do this is we're simply going to use teleporters. Now there is a couple options here, cool looking ones, but none of those really fit, and I do want this to just feel like a pretty standard tunnel. I'm just kind of afraid that if I build this, it might get rid of trees and such. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so I'm just going to put that... Oh, nope. Game decided it was time to save. Okay, so I'm just going to place this literally right next to the path, and then we'll have it teleport straight through as such. And I just wanted to end... Nope, stop it. Stop it. Okay, I just want it to end right here. Just make it end. Perfect. Okay. And I don't think that's done anything too wonky to the terrain. Maybe, maybe not. A little bit maybe. Move this forward. Are you going to break things? Not quite as much as it's already kind of tilted through awkward sideways pathway. Okay, anyways, I do think this service should cost a little bit of gold to kind of take the shortcut through the tunnel, but we're going to make it pretty inexpensive. Okay, I'm not going to worry about building out on top of this quite yet, because we're going to have to put in some rocks and such to make sure that it gets covered up and looks like the entrance to a tunnel, more or less. So I'm going to leave that there for now, kind of the same way I did for a while with the teleporter over here for the bridge. And then we can kind of dig deeper into here. Now, I've already got a couple of Imperial Guards. We've got a Paladin here who is a quest giver that I don't think does too much. Brutalize the kobolds. Oh, Everstone Golem. Okay, that's... Yeah, going to there. It's just improperly named. Got it. Speak to the head miner. That's that guy. Okay, that makes sense. So let's actually position this guy further down here. So regardless of whether or not you take the path around this way or you kind of come out of the tunnel here, we'll make sure that our players meet up with this quest giver. So we'll make a nice little easy path here, and we'll just kind of have those merge like so. And then I'll even have this maybe just trickle off slightly like that. Perfect. And realistically, actually, it should probably be go speak with the head miner first, and then that guy should be the one that's like, hey, you should go do something. But since this guy is a guard, and we're kind of making him Imperial employment, they'll probably want you to go take care of some evil baddies anyways. Alright, and then these guys, let's put just a couple of them down here too. We'll keep a couple of them kind of out here by our head miner, and you can come back down here. That way there's a little bit of separation as far as, you know, where these guys are camped out and whatnot. And then in the design dock, I actually want to change... Oh, where was I at? It was this, the lumberjack. This is what we're using for these little guards here. I don't care too much about the stats because they're not really going to be in combat with our players, nor do I really care that much about their abilities. We can fidget with them later to give them a little more individualized focus, the same way we would want to see from our other characters. But I've decided I don't necessarily want them to be generic lumberjack. Look through the prefabs first, because while I want them to be miners, I want them to actually be of like a gnomish type character race. I don't think there's anything specifically in here for that style. I mean, you could take anything and just shrink the size down. That is definitely a pirate. Yeah, so we'll kind of, let's start with the lumberjack. I like that head and everything. It's kind of a torso with a vest. That looks kind of good. What else we got? That one's really boxy. Oh, that's interesting. I like the little knapsack on the side. He's got scrolls on the back. That's neat. Oh, the scroll on the back must be from the pants. This one's kind of hard to see. What does this have on the front? Oh, that looks like he's got little, like, pieces of gear on the front of him. I kind of like that. Let's shrink him down. I think everything else in game is like, what is it, like 1.8, 1.9? 1.7 on the wizard. I think our biggest asset is the paladin. 1.8. Okay, so if we make these guys like 1.0 to 0.9, something like that, they should be good, decent sizes, like a, yeah, like a halfling class, just like that. So, yeah, I actually, maybe we'll take it down 0.1. No, these are, oh no, it is 0.9. I don't know. Screw it. We're gonna go 0.8. Make them a little tinier, just a smidge. Okay, don't need a tail. That's obvious, unless. Oh no, the scroll was a tail. Really? That's cool. Can I give him a little? Ooh, I can give him a little backpack or a knapsack. What is this? Oh, that's a backpack also. What is this? It looks like little things hanging off. Yeah, I don't like the scroll. I like the little backpack better. What is this? This is like a knapsack, maybe? It's a smaller backpack. I don't know if the miners look good with a full-blown backpack. Maybe just like this small, like, knapsacky situation. Yeah, that looks like something hanging off the back, but it's not quite what I want. So maybe I go like this. No, not that one. Where'd the other one go? Yeah, this one, and then we'll shrink it down a little bit further. Apparently that's as small as I can make it now. That's fine. And then we'll bring it down kind of around closer to like their, like it's worn on a belt. It's a large sack worn on a belt. Kind of put it off to one side, maybe just ever so slightly. Perfect. I like these arms. I don't know what the little pointy things are, but they look kind of cool. Maybe we'll find something a little less terrifying. Oh, that's got pauldrons. We don't want that. I kind of like the armbands on that. That's cool. Thinking the head's got to be a little tinier. It's kind of throwing off my proportions here. Yeah, there we go. Now I can make those arms a little bigger. And then they need some pretty hefty boots. So we'll just find some big, nice, hefty boots. We'll shrink these down just a smidgeroni too. All right, and there we go. We got our little miner looking guy. He's kind of levitating. I should probably make sure he's touching the ground in the actual asset. And no, he is levitating. So let's bring you back down to earth a little bit. Perfectamundo. And I don't really have a name for these yet. They're just going to be gnome for the time being. So we have gnomes in the game. Look at that. They're going to be expert miners. All right, and then what we should do is try to create the basis of the camp here. So back here by this little hut where I originally built our lumberjack / gnomes, I put these walls up here to kind of help protect against, you know, players from going up and around too much. I wanted them to kind of funnel through a doorway like that. I think it's probably smart to utilize a similar fence. Now there's two options really. I think before when I put that one I said there was going to be a lumber camp here. I have decided against that since that point. So if there was a lumber camp, I would say it would make more sense to have wood fences. However, because we're going more with the mining camp, I do think it's better to have these stone fences, mostly because if they're extracting a lot of rock, they're extracting ore from the rock, there's going to be a lot of extra rock, so there would be a surplus of this to be able to actually create something, you know, more or less as a barrier. It's going to go like that. Another little opening here. Again, kind of take them up the mountainside so we create kind of funneling barriers. Okay, now this does give us an opportunity to add another inn space into this region, which I think is going to be beneficial. And I'll probably just make it the same as the last ones we've been putting here. Kind of position it in between these roadways. How close can I get? Not too close. Okay. That's fine there. We probably... Not starting points, I need respawn points. We don't have a lot of respawn points in this region. There's pretty much just the one down here, I think. We should probably add a respawn point up in the Frozen Vale itself. That seems like it would make sense, because then... Yeah, then that way, if you died kind of on either end of here, you'd at least have a central safe location to come back to. But let's put one down here in our camp. And we'll just kind of use, I think, the Fearless respawn point with kind of all of the swords and shields kind of laid out as if people who were actively adventuring or working kind of made a makeshift graveyard for the time being. And we can do the same thing probably up here. I would like it to kind of be in here a little, but I want to make sure, yeah, I want to make sure I don't accidentally delete anything. So let's build it down here first, and then we'll move it over here. Question is, where is it going to be able to go? I could kind of hide it partially in here. Ooh, that would work. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's good. That way then there's like, you know, you can see where people have died and put up their kind of memorial to the service of other adventurers. And that way there's a respawn point that's in a safe region. And then before I forget, we should probably put one down here at the exit point. And this one will make similar to the entranceway one, so it's just going to feel like it's part of the town to some extent that's down here. We'll go like that. Okay, so we got a few respawn points to help out this region. I don't know if it makes sense to have a tavern here. From a story perspective, I feel like it does not. But there should also be a place, like, obviously to stay, and that all the miners would kind of hang out at the end of the day. So maybe we do add one in here. And this might be kind of all that's in this space. Maybe there's like one barracksy type building too, or like a storage place for some mining equipment. We'll throw a door on there and maybe a back door on as well. This will kind of be like the makeshift barracks. Barracks isn't really the right word. That's more of a military establishment. Miners' Hall, that's what we'll call it. And then I'll probably make another one up here that's kind of like not being utilized too much, just because there's an issue with the whole like golem-y thing going on. We'll put these little guys kind of out in front here. Perfect. Alright, and then as kind of the start of our mining operation here, I'll use my favorite rock in the whole wide world, and I want to create kind of a interlaid mountain face here. That way it's kind of like we're approaching into a cavernous region. I'm going to use the archway here, scale that up considerably. And then I'll put another one of them back here. I don't actively know what the dungeons update is going to be like. I don't know if it's going to be like a portal entrance system similar to the teleporters that takes players into dungeons. But I'm going to kind of anticipate that something similar along that lines is going to happen. Again, I could be totally wrong. So I'm going to have that inside there as if that's kind of the entrance to the mine there. And then let's cover up the top of this. I just need to kind of create some supports to place other rocks onto. And kind of create the cavern effect here, as has been done by so many before me. Now, it doesn't look like much, I get that from the outside. The idea here is the inside will start to get some structure, and I want it to look uneven, you know, not very, like, organized looking, because I want the rock to be relatively random. Then we can come back in with this more stylized rock, and what I want to do is we'll make sure, yeah, place on objects is in effect, and we'll basically start creating the face of a mountain here. And that way, even from this side in the frozen vale, start to see like this peak. Imagine this kind of being the overall peak of the highest point on the mountain pass, kind of visible from all sides here. Alright, I might play around with it a little bit more, but I want it to look, you know, large. I want it to look intimidating. I want it to be visible from all angles. That way it is not just a mountain pass that feels flat going through it, but at every side you're kind of like, oh, there's the peak up there that I will essentially never kind of be able to get to. Which is true in the game sense. But then over here on this side by our mining camp, you can then actually enter the base of it, and there's a cavern underneath, and we'll clean out the inside of this a little bit too. I probably won't have nearly as many enemies. Feels like there's a little crowded in there at the moment. Okay, so real quickly, we'll grab this guy, our quest giver down here. His first quest is taking you back to town. I do not like that. That is not effective. The first thing I think he should do is kind of like, you know, scout ahead a little bit. So what we might actually do, let's exit out of this. I'm gonna put one of these miners kind of over here, like he's hiding around the corner, scouting the area out. I'm gonna grab this building, we're gonna take it out just a little bit, then that way now we can make a quest here that's gonna say, okay, you need to go help investigate what's going on in the mines. We can't get in there, there's some kind of magical force that's awoken a bunch of golems, and we can't do our job. I'm gonna limit the experience a little bit on this because, well, you don't have to go too far or do too much. We're gonna say meet the scout, so you have to go ahead and just talk to the person up ahead here who's actually sitting outside the mine. And then the next thing they should probably have you do is report back and explain to the miners guild back here what's going on. We'll make this relatively easy as well. Say another 1,000. Pay you decently for this one too, just because we're at a point where, you know, these guys are loaded. They're miners. I'm assuming if you're mining valuables beneath the earth, you've got some cash to blow. All right, report to the guild master. Then we'll add another one, and this actually pretty close. Is it taking me where I want to go? Oh, it is taking me pretty much where I want to go. All right, I was gonna say go report to this guy. This is another quest giver who I want to make sure we attach to. We'll make this a solid 2,000. You've got to venture through the wolf area that we put in between there, and this is going to be an important quest. This will be call for backup. So the miners are going to kind of take things into their own hands. They're going to kind of do their normal workflow as far as when issues arise. Obviously, the Empire was called in here to some extent too, because we've got this guy. Now, what we'll do real quick before I forget, let's make the number 4 quest here to actually just report to that guy again, in case for whatever reason our players haven't done so. We'll make this just a short, easy 500 gold, basically to say like, hey, see if these guys who just rolled into town can help out, or if they've got anything that they've got planned. Call this Imperial Assistance. I spelled that wrong, I'm pretty sure. There we go, Imperial Assistance, nice easy quest. And then we'll have this guy make sure that he's also saying go speak to the head miner if you haven't done so already. So this goes two ways. One, if you go to this quest giver first, he'll tell you to go report to that guy. You get that quest line. From a story standpoint, he's saying go talk to them again, saying like, yes, we are actually here to help. You don't have to go above and beyond to do anything extra. Then, yes, we want you to go in and start just, you know, beating up some golems. I think instead of 6, let's make it 5. And I'm just gonna, you know, without having a better name, call this punching rocks, because to some extent that's kind of what you're gonna have to do. All right, then the next thing I would have him do is actually have you directed toward going in deeper into the mine to wherever the kind of quote-unquote dungeon would be. Again, can't really do that yet, but keep looking out for that dungeon update. When it comes, I've got a lot of things hopefully planned out for this world. So leave that as is. Let's go back over to this quest giver, because if you've gone to him, he's basically said like, oh, okay, we need to make sure we help out the mining camp. This is kind of a halfway camp point, we'll say. He's going to take you back over to, let's just say, the inn over here. So if you're a player who has advanced this far along, you could really be at either one of these inns, either this one here or this one. I mean, I'm going to kind of try and make more quests that kind of come through this spot here as well. We'll see. But yeah, we'll have you go to that inn. We'll just say check in at base camp. We'll make this 2,000 gold as well. Or not 2,000 gold, lol. 2,000 XP, 25 gold. So there's a little bit of value here. We'll add some enemies throughout here too, I think. I think it'd be cool. Let's see. Oh. Who are you? I don't remember putting this here. When did I put him here? Who are you and why do you live there? Was this something I did during the live stream that I just don't remember? It must be. Okay, well there's a Everstone Golem quest giver. That's nice to have. I would like some enemy zones. Let's move this guy to kind of be right in the middle here. That way, regardless of which path you kind of end up taking, they should see him. And then I'd kind of like to have a little bit of a tie-in with part of the other stuff that's come up earlier where there's some skeletons. So for now, I'm just going to kind of add them into this region. That's probably too dense, but for now, that's what we're going to just kind of designate. And this guy is going to kind of say, okay, you've gone into base camp. I need you, let's see, we'll have him kind of check in with some of their little outside camps. So we'll create some guards that are going to be our little gnome guys. We'll say there's going to be one kind of camp at this kind of crossroads area here. We'll put another one kind of right here. One kind of at the base there. Yeah. And then they should kind of be scattered elsewhere too. I'm thinking maybe they've got one kind of right here at the foot. Actually, maybe he's the one that kind of operates and oversees there. We've got the one guy that's over here who's got his own little house, but he's not really, he's a lumberjack. He's not really part of the Miners Guild. Let's put a couple of them down in the main town here in Hammer Valley. We'll put one kind of outside the tavern, one outside the inn, and we can probably just position a couple of them out in some other areas here. Because they are pretty prominent for this location. Makes sense. There we go. Alright, so there's a few little miners that kind of are down there. Maybe they're on their vacation time, using up some PTO before it expires. Alright, so I won't have this guy check in on all of them, but he's going to check in on the closest ones. So first, we'll have him take you back over to this guy, and we'll kind of create maybe some little camps for each of these guys so they look like they've got some place to stay and live. We're going to call this Lookout 3. You're going to go to him, ask him what's up. Make sure he's okay for one. And two, you're going to help report back any information about what's going on in the area. If there's anything weird that people have seen. Then, the next one, a little bit easier. You're just going to go straight over to this guy, if I can click on him. Again, I'll keep all the experience and gold the same on these. I'm going to call this Lookout 2. And then the last one here will be Lookout 1 because he's kind of the closest to this side. That's just the way the number order goes. That'll be Lookout 1. Not inherently dangerous, but like, you know, this guy, you'll have to kind of get past the wolves at least. This guy's pretty easy to get to. This one, you know, also not too hard. I don't think I'm going to put any enemies straight through here. And then we'll leave his last quest open because he's gonna take you, I think, all the way to Valkyrin. He'll have his last quest take you to the main city where there's gonna be like a main Miners Guild hall. That should be pretty good. Alright, and then we've got our George stand-in quest giver here. I don't like Aldor the Enlightened, but I do like Aldor. It's kind of like Al Gore. Al Gore being obviously our wizard who lives in Brightwood. Alright, so this is more of a like a little guardian guy. He's going to have you basically go over here and investigate, which is basically just go smash in a bunch of skeletons, and we'll have you take out a whole bunch of them. So that'll give the player tons of experience. It might be something you have to do with a party, because skeletons aren't too bad, but when they swarm, I've noticed, they can get pretty terrifying. Let's take this down to light, see what that does. Yeah, that's a little better. Possibly more manageable. I'm not exactly sure how you're communicating with our friend The Rock here, but after he has you go smash some skellies, he's going to have you report up here to the Frozen Vale again, to our head Throne Watcher, to kind of give the information of what's going on with some raised undead through here. We'll just call this Dead Problems. Okay, and I want these to be pretty good experience quests. I want to make sure our players are getting solidly rewarded here. Because again, as we've noticed throughout our other regions, if we just kind of delay it too much, it gets boring and everyone's just kind of stuck in two locations. So yes, all the EXP signs, keep them coming. Keep popping up. Ooh, there's a ding down there. Did anybody see that ding? There we go. Somebody leveled up. Excellent. Any more dings? I want to see a ding happen. Oh, there's a ding right there. There was a ding. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, another ding. Perfect. Perfect. People are turning in quests and getting their dings. Oh, there's another ding. Look at that. People are leveling up pretty easily. Well, they could be going 1 to 2, which is not that hard, but after that point, it gets a little saucy. Okay, so we've got a big giant mountain. We've got a bunch of quests sort of laid out here. I think after you complete the second one here, let's put in a bigger elite skeleton again, because we had the one at level 2 in Brightwood. It'd be really fun to have like a high-level elite guy just kind of chilling out here in the middle. A little bit of a fun experience for players to do as a group. And then that will be quest number 3. Is now that you've reported back to the Throne Watcher, he's going to say we must eliminate this evil force. Doom Ripper, that's a cool name, but we're not going to interrogate him. We're going to, you know, destroy, because I can't think of any cooler words. I should really just bring a thesaurus with me every time I play this game. And let's make this nice and saucy. Let's go 3,500 experience. For some reason, this golem is able to give you gold. We'll just leave it at 10. All right. So at that point, yeah, we should be at a pretty sizable amount of experience. I'll do the math in a second here just to figure out exactly where we're at. But I like the layout of everything in here so far. I think we need some more enemies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the wolves here, and I'm gonna add a second region of wolves, and I'll bring it right up next to this guard. The golem here, because I want him to, he can help kind of beat things up if he needs to, if they get too close. But because this is closer to civilization, I'm also going to make this lighter. Oop, that's still pretty, let's go just minimal. That still seems like a lot for some reason, but all right. And then this one, to make it a little more dangerous, we'll make this one light, so it's a little bit denser to get through the path here. Let's expand this one through here, right up to where this guy's camp is going to be. The skeletons that way will allow a safe passage through here. One thing I do need to block off is I wanted to block this one off the same way I blocked off the initial one here. So we're going to put in a fence to start with. And that should usually keep players from going through it. It's not going to be perfect, but we can't really control the mesh unless we use mods, and I just don't feel like playing with mods on a early release game. It's not that I don't trust the mod devs, the game gets updated so much it's hard to keep mods updated. Alright, and then we can kind of start to add rocks in there to cover it up from a scenery perspective so that the balloon can still get through and not look like it's clipping too much, but our players will be forced to go around through Wolf Alley here. Okay, let's start to throw in some more visuals here that make sense. And we'll get to that scenery adjustment in just 1 second, but I just realized, and I paused the game because we have our first player to reach level 4 down here. Yupalad, where's Yupalad? Yupalad, where are you? Yupalad is a fighter of Zephyr. So Yupalad has, let's see, is that 159 in-game hours? That seems like a lot to hit level 4, holy crap. But migrating to Zephyr, that's good. That means he's going to the level 4 zone. He knows where he's headed, which means he's going to be the first player to actually make their way into that zone, which is exciting. This also gives us the opportunity to see how much gold he has, 1,300, which is quite a bit more than I would hope as far as the overall game economy goes. But it doesn't surprise me because MMORPG Tycoon 2's gold economy is not really controllable all that well. Overall, though, this is pretty dang exciting. I'm going to go ahead and favorite this guy just so we can follow him around. We'll go ahead and hit play, and then, yeah, let's focus, and we'll just, we'll follow this guy around a little bit. I'll speed up the game, too. This does bring up some really good questions moving forward, though, because we're going to have to start actually focusing on level 4 abilities, I believe, which is something I'm pretty sure I never did. Yes, we have no level 4 abilities, so as of right now, reaching level 4 does nothing except kind of boost their overall base damage. It, gives them more health, gives them more max rage, mana for the other player characters. But right now it looks like, yeah, he's just headed straight into the inn, it looks like. We'll get this menu out of the way. Yep, they went to the inn, and I don't really know if they're just checking in or what. Enjoying the scenery. Okay, let's bring it back over to him. So that means the next thing we should actually focus on in-game is going to be our level 4 abilities, because if one player character has made it this far, that means there should not be very many very far behind. Okay, so the rest of the detailing throughout the remainder of Karak, this second half basically starting from the Frozen Vale on, mostly tree work. So pretty much did that behind camera. because you've all seen me just place trees across the map before, and it's not the most entertaining thing, but you can at least see the final result. One of the big things I did here, where we just put in our little teleportation thing that's going to be our makeshift tunnel, went ahead and created kind of a mountainous side here, tunnely look for that. So as you come through from the town here in the Hammer Valley, you come up through this tunnel. Physically you walk through, you've got two options. You go forward this way because we do have some quests that take you that direction, or they can speed up the process and they can just go straight through here if they want to explore, and that pops them out on the other side, right to here, boom, bang, onto this pathway that we had already made into our little mining camp. Obviously a few trees, give it some character. I did decide to add literally some trebuchets right here because this is an Imperial controlled region. You've got valuable mining operation. I figured why not have kind of a standby defense mechanism. I made it look as if they've cleared the trees in this area, so if anyone did decide to funnel through this narrow passage, they would have easy shots at them, and that's kind of the thought process. Up here, a little further to where the entrance to the cave is, put in just, you know, a rock for some character. We will detail the inside of this momentarily. We'll get to that. If we follow the rest of the path this way from the Frozen Vale, I added in some trees, some additional bandits. So here's the initial bandit one that's part of the quest line from over here. I'm probably going to add some more quest line attachment here because I made a elite bandit here, and this is kind of where the passage is that the balloon is going to go through. Players cannot, however, because I did put that fence there. So they're going to go around this way, and they're going to have to go down this little alley of wolves. Through here, we've got that quest line where we had the little additional miners camp / maybe there's some lumbering stuff going on. And then loops around up this way where the balloon keeps going down into the second valley here. But we've also got the little monster zone here for skeletons with that elite skeleton we put in here. We'll add some more character to give it some more flavor to that spot because it's a little plain at the moment. But if you were to follow this down, we've got the little village down here where all there is an inn. I might add 1 or 2 buildings in here. Again, don't want it to be super dense. And then lots of rocks. I wanted to add more of a rocky feature as you're exiting the mountain face here, so the path kind of curls up and around through these rocks. And then I wanted to create like a big slanted, like sedimentary rock look like you see some places where there's massive earthquakes and you walk through this caverny region. Pop out. This is what it looks like on the other side. And this is something I've kind of always struggled with, is what does the transition between two regions really look like? And it should feel like you're kind of moving through something, changes the overall look and feel of what's going on, but doesn't feel completely out of character, out of context. So yeah, we got this, and then that'll come into this other region. It's got another big long one that's kind of actually almost shaped similar to Karak, surprisingly. So a lot of good detailing done here. Now, as I was just stating a little bit earlier than showing you all this, we need to actually look at level 4 abilities for all of our player classes. Because if we're getting people moving up to level 4, it means we're gonna have to be doing a better job of paying attention to making sure they're strong enough. Because we have only 1 here so far, but that's a number that's probably gonna keep going up here pretty quick. Okay, so first one we'll do is Fighters of Zephyr, for no other reason than that was the first character that hit level 4. I was following that player around for a little bit for some context, and he was dying miserably over and over again in front of the worms that were through here. Rather than taking the airship straight over to here to find a trainer and buy new weapons and whatnot, he decided to just literally walk the whole way, which did not end well for him. Now, fighters are good DPS units. They are not very tanky units. It did kind of showcase a little bit to me that maybe the worms have some strengths we need to weaken a little bit, but I do want them to be semi-tough. It's part of the reason why they're in the middle here, occupying all this space. It's supposed to be dangerous. You're supposed to use the airship to bypass it. Nonetheless, though, we are going to try and correct this issue by giving him a new ability. So we'll go ahead and add that. And I have a couple of ideas. As I just previously stated, this is a high DPS unit. He's got 1 CC ability, a little bit of damage with a stun. I could give him a little bit more damage here if I didn't give him any kind of defensive buffs or capabilities. But I think what we need to do is we need to add some defensive capabilities in this guy. And I want it to be, obviously, along the lines of what the character would have. So I'm going to set this to level 4 because that's what he's going to be. And what I kind of want to have is a little bit of a dodge / parry capability. So this is going to do a couple of things. One, I want him to be able to generate rage much faster. I feel like that's one thing in this class that's a little weak, is rage doesn't really build up fast enough for you to really get full use of your abilities. Up to this point, it's not so bad, but as enemies are going to get tougher, it becomes a little bit more stagnated. So I'm going to do a self only. We're not going to apply damage. This is going to generate rage. Actually, there was rage over time. Yes, rage over time. And I want this to not be too long. I'm going to make it 3 seconds. Oh, this scales, actually. That's good. That's good. Excellent. Okay, save this for 1 quick second. Base rage is 20. Let's oh, I don't know if I can find the guy. I think he logged out. I was gonna say, I wanted to see what the maximum rage was on that level character, but we can always calculate it. They gain 50% per level, so if it's at 20, it should be 30 at level 2. Another 50% of that is 15, added to 30 is 45 at level 3, which means 50% of 45 is gonna be 22.5, 67.5 rage at level 4 as a max. So if we just kind of base it off, we could just base it off the base level here. Part of this is upper hand takes 10 rage. Sword thrust is 0. It actually generates rage 2 over time at level 4. That's 3.4 damage, 6.8 rage over 8 seconds. I'm gonna buff them in the sense that we're gonna give this every 6 seconds or over 6 seconds. So that's a little bit of a buff. And then this one I want it to generate rage still, obviously. Let's see, I want this to be like big. I'm gonna say 10 rage over 3 seconds. That is the equivalent of 50% of the total rage at every level. They get it in 3 seconds, so it's like a huge buff to their potential damage output, or their threshold at which they can keep using abilities. I also want this to apply a protect. Now, the reason for that being is I'm gonna make this a dodge skill. More specifically, deflect. And I want it to be able to deflect most of the damage that's going to be coming through. So we're going to say 95% for that same 3 seconds. But our cooldown on this is going to be 10 seconds. And I want it to be an instant cast. So it's something that basically an attack is coming towards them. They can go kablamo, deflect it, and then they generate a whole bunch of rage really quickly over the next couple seconds, where they can start to dish out their other abilities that do most of their damage, as well as give them additional percentage damages with the upper hand ability. So this is where this player character should really start to take off. And I'm not going to have it take anything as far as cost. I want this to just be like a, you know, last itch, or not even last itch, but it's like a huge ability that helps you like really power through, protect yourself from tough enemies, and then bam, hit them back with a ton of damage. I would like to make this longer, like 15 seconds. So I guess, I mean, I could make a cast time, but that's vulnerability when there's a long cast time, and I don't want that to happen either. Just gonna make this straight attack, physical, and I'm gonna make it kind of a grayish color, as if they're like kind of deflecting a sword, deflecting an arrow, like something metallic. Okay. So use your quick reflexes to deflect an oncoming attack and prepare your own, which is going to generate, let's see, 33.8 rage over 3 seconds, 50% of your total rage pool, and then reducing all damage dealt to the target by 95% for that time frame too. So self-inflicted, you generate rage, you get to protect. And I am gonna take this down a little bit. 30 seconds seems like a long time, but to compensate, we can go maybe no, keep the rage generation 3. We'll compensate by adding the protect up to 4 seconds. So there's a pretty good window here where players can either drop a potion or something to bring their health back up, or maybe if they're in a party member heals them while they're not as vulnerable, and then they just dish out this high DPS. That will probably need to get nerfed at some point, but until that point. And this looks like 2 swords crossing, so I'm just going to use that as the icon for the time being. Okay, Next, let's look at our paladins real quick. Now, paladins were built with the emphasis of being super tanky and durable, so their DPS is relatively low as seen by their base ability. They have a 2-second stun with some damage, and they have a massive protect already. When I say massive, it's actually not that massive, it's only 10%. I forgot that I nerfed that quite a bit. Overall, what are the demands here? Still demands for nerf. That's incredible. This is self-only. I feel like, wasn't this meant to be... I feel like this was meant to be anyone. I'm gonna go ahead and apply that to anyone. Missile range so they can do it on their party members. So we have a stun with a little bit of damage. We have a protect with a heal. DPS wise, these guys don't have much. But because they've already got CC and they've already got a heal, I feel like maybe we go back into some DPS to compensate any of the potential weaknesses here. It's obviously gonna cost mana. Ooh, a drain mana would be cool. Let's think about that. Actually, even better would be a siphon mana. So that way you use and expense the mana, but if the enemy has mana, you gain it back essentially. So we'll balance that out in a second. And then we should just have it do some damage. It would be nice if there was like a charge ability, essentially a way to kind of get hasted or to like dart toward the enemy and like cover ground. That would be a good thing to do on this character, but it's not a thing that I can do in the game. And we're going to call this Holy Siphon. So we're going to deal some damage as if they are an unholy target. I'm going to say 1.8, because what does that calculate to at level 4? 6.1 damage. Let's give them a little bit more. Let's say 2.0. And then we'll make this cost, what's our total mana again? 12. We'll say 3.0 for a good sizable amount of damage. That obviously scales to 10 mana at this higher level, level 4. But then we'll make this siphon 3.5. So if the enemy does have mana, actually let's make it higher. Let's make it a solid 4. So if the enemy does have mana, you're going to get back more than you spent, plus you deal damage to him. Bada bing, bada boom. 5 seconds. Let's go 1 second cast time, and we'll give this some range on it. So that way the paladin can kind of feel like they're getting something from a distance. Maybe I will nerf this though, because that gives the paladin some kiting capability. I kind of want this to still have a little bit of the lightning theme to it, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that on there too. Make it fiery, but I kind of like that color, but maybe a little bit more icy blue. There we go. Cast a ballistic, or should we go, yes, ballistic is fine. Alright, we're just going to say your holy power overcomes all evil, dealing 5.1 damage and siphoning 13.5 mana. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, now Rangers, this again, I would love to have something that gives some kind of haste ability, but these guys are mana dependent and speed range dependent. So this is a kiting ability, this is a long range attack, this is a CC and amplifier because it improves the damage dealt. And deadly aim has a bleed, so I don't necessarily want to go that same route. I think what I want to do is experiment with something. I want something that's going to be very light damage, like very light, 0.5. So level 4, that's only 1.7. But I want this to be as if it's a continuous barrage. So the mana, gosh, one mana is probably fine. That'd be 3.4 at level 4, but that also means that this character is going to have how much at level 4? They have 18 at level 1, which means they'd be able to do this at level 1 18 times, which means it applies the same at level 4. Let's say 10 times. So 1/10, 10%. I'm going to say 0.7 damage. And then it's going to have a 1 second cooldown, 0.5 second cast. Now, before everyone gets mad at me, if you decided to do a whole bunch of these in a row, say you had full mana and you did 10 of them straightforward, you would run out of mana. You would have dealt 18 total damage, or in this case at level 4, 24 damage up front, really, really quick, which was probably not going to be enough to kill any of your enemies. However, if you got them at a distance, you could throw 2 to 3 of these into them really, really quick, dealing a quick burst of damage, and then you'd want to go back into the abilities like your snare ability so that you can pin them, get some more distance, use deadly aim so you reapply a bleed. So it just depends essentially on, do you want to burn through all your mana and deal an okay amount of damage, or do you want to utilize this when you have the advantage at range, and now I can sit there and go pow, 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 pow real quick for a couple of cheap shots. That's the basis of this. Physical attack, I'm going to say straight, so it's like a really fine dart arrow that's going. I'm gonna make it kind of grayish colored, so that way it just looks like a straight arrow going to some extent. All right, so we're gonna say you are a master with a bow. You quickly knock an arrow and let fly when you have the advantage, dealing 2.4 damage, minor amount of mana that it takes. And you know what? I'm still not pleased with this. I think it should be less mana. So that's technically less than 10%, so you might be able to get a couple extra off. Just because most enemies, if they're really weak enemies, like if they go and fight the skeletons, you could just shoot probably a couple of these, get them dead, boom, done. But something like our worms here in the desert, you would not be able to take advantage of that. However, the rangers are pretty fast. They could probably outrun the worms, but this is nowhere near enough damage even if you blew all your mana into it to take down one of those things. Well, I think this is pretty cool. Again, tweakable. Oh, and we're just gonna call this Quick Draw. That sounds like a good name. We're gonna use this one with a bunch of arrows all together. Yeah. And then our wizardy boy. This one, I know exactly what I'm gonna do because he's all high DPS. He's got some CC thrown in there. This is going to be a purely defensive skill just to help him out in the long term. So this will be self-only. It will not be a defensive ability for anybody else. We're going to put a Protect. I'm going to start off with it at 60%. And you know what? 8 seconds is a good place to start that. We're going to make this take probably 5 mana to start with. That's a good chunk of the total mana of the wizard. I believe we're at, 20, so that's 25%. That's quite a bit. This is just going to be good old-fashioned mage armor. I would like this to also help with some mana regen. I just want to make sure. This is damage and slow. I don't think anything I had mana regen. Oh, this is siphon mana. So that's actually good. But I would imagine this can get pretty resource hungry because a fireball, you can't even do 3 of them. You can only do 2, and then you pretty much have to wait for mana to come back. So I think if we look at this, demands for nerf are pretty high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the mana cost of Fireball. And then Mage Armor is going to also charge mana over time. So over that same scale of protection, let's gain some mana back. We'll see what this does to the balancing. That way the wizard feels like they can actually dish out repeated damage and have some survivability. This is probably way too overpowered, to be honest. But we can also bring it to a long cooldown and a decent cast time, so that way there's not too much advantage. Okie dokie. I don't know, this one looks like it scales. We'll just say, you know, for effect, you get covered in scales. We'll just say your skin becomes toughened, reducing all damage dealt to the target by 60% for 8 seconds, and restoring 27 mana for 8 seconds. That's at level 4. Level 1, it's 8 mana. So it's nice that scales with every level 2. And 8 mana is good because that's more than 30% of their total mana at every level, which is pretty cool. We'll say this is a cast. We're gonna make it earthy and very blue in color for whatever reason. And not ballistic, I want it to be Skybeam, so it comes down directly on top of themselves. Self only, that's all we need. Boom. And we're good. Wizard buff. All right, and then the last one we've got to really dig into is our Alchemist here. Now, why did I put mana at 30? That's kind of unacceptable. Let's see. Rangers are... What are Rangers? Rangers are 18 mana. Wizards are 20. Paladins are 12 and they're higher health. Got it. Okay. So the Alchemist should be considerably weaker compared to, say, the Paladin in terms of total health. They can be around par with the Fighters as a Fear. That makes sense to me. Mana-wise, maybe the same as a Wizard? Yeah, I think that works. So that way we can kind of keep them ranged. Now the Volley, this was a basic damage that's just a poison attack, basically. Drowsy Concoction, as suggested by the viewers during the live stream. Drain mana, reduce rage, so it's basically gives a bunch of negative effects plus a slow. This really doesn't do anything else. But, I mean, this is kind of nice. It is just a slow, but it gives you a bunch of extra benefits. I don't remember how I made that, but I kind of like it. Good job, guys and gals. And then Healing Sauce, heal over time. This was missile range. Yeah, so you could do it to help out the party members as well. Now, this is good. Okay, so this character actually sucks in terms of DPS. I'm pretty sure their total is horrendous. 0.5. Yeah, we need to dump some serious damage into this individual. And before I do that, I want to add some more thematics to this a little bit. So one thing I want to do is I want to adjust this to be, yeah, this is going to be a smaller character in the same Gnomish class as the miners we just built. So they're basically coming from the same region, same heritage, they're the same race, okay? And just to verify, I want to find some of them just to see and compare sizes. Let's see if we can find one of these little dudes somewhere. Okay, here's one. And yeah, really fast. I like it. I like it. Okay, so we're gonna follow this guy. He's about to stand in front of some other player class, or not player class, but in front of some other people. Yeah, so he's about half size. That's pretty good. Okay, that's how I want this to be. The thing that I'm gonna change ultimately, though, is their name. Now I want this to be alchemists in a way, but I also want them to be like a technologist. All right, so it looks like a mouthful, but in my head it's alchematechnist. Maybe we'll change that to some extent at some point. And they're an A tier, so they're actually pretty strong. Demands for nerf, even though they have like no damage, huh? That's interesting. Maybe it's because they're so fast and they can kite super easily. Let's see how he does here in this fight. He's not looking super good. Why are you not running? Oh, he's gonna get hit with all the DPS. Oh, the damage over time is hard when it stacks like this. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, we definitely need some more deeps. Okay, so the reason I wanted to make them a technist, alchematechnist, is because I want them to have like little like robots and stuff that they're gonna use. Like they're creating like Warforged type characters, little automatons that help them out in battle. Because I want our gnomes to be really smart and savvy in that way. All right, there's not really a good icon for this, but this is gonna be the Techno Swarm. Basically a bunch of little mini like autonomous little like mechanical bumblebees are gonna chase after you. So this is gonna be another damage over time, but it is gonna be missile range as well. And I think I want to go sniper range actually, because this is going to be like something you can just send into battle and it's going to just always be there. So damage over time, and we're going to make this like really long, 30 seconds at least. And over the course of that, it's going to deal, we're going to say 7 damage to start with. Actually, if I want it to be 0.2 per second, yeah, okay, if I want it to be just a solid 0.3 actually, I think a solid 0.3 per second for 30 seconds, that's a total of 9 damage. So deal 0.3 every second, which is not really that much, but it's something that doesn't go away. So it's a constant damaging effect. We'll say a good chunk of upfront mana for this. And then it'd be nice if there was a slow, but I wish I could control the rate of the slow. So I'm just gonna make this like a very minor, like 0.5 seconds of discomfort that the slow causes, because they already have that. Oh, I actually just used the exact same icon, I just realized. Crap. Oh, here we go. This one's a little better. That looks like a, I mean, it's more like a tornado or a hurricane, but you get the point. Okay, so at level 4 when they get this, it's a total of 30 damage over 30 seconds, which is pretty absurd, actually. Maybe I'll nerf that. We'll just say 8. And then Drowsy Concoction has a slow. That's 4 seconds. Okay, maybe I'll remove the slow from this. This doesn't need to have a slow. Let's just say a 0.5 second root in place. That sounds pretty good. That way, the enemy, if the enemy has ranged abilities, they can still use it for that time frame. They just can't move. That's a good one. All right, we're gonna make it straight line, cast, and it's gonna get kind of fiery. Yeah, that could kind of be a swarm of something coming at you. Electric probably, yeah, that's not right. Water is just a bubble. Ice is like a little, yeah, a little shard type thing. So we'll do it as fire. I'm gonna give it kind of a yellowish hue, as if it's like little like golden / bronze-ish colored techno bees. Oh, I need to change the cooldown and stuff. Yeah. Apparently I didn't save that before. We'll say 60 seconds, so you can only really do it once per fight. Not that you'll need to ever do it more. 2-second cast, so it's kind of something you want to preset. Like you're going to do it first to instigate the battle from long range, and then you're going to run in and just start, you know, throwing your other potions and stuff at them. Okay, now with that all done, it looks like we've got our characters set for up to level 4, which is a good thing. And I think that that's a good place to go ahead and call it for today. We've gotten a lot of good work done. Karak is pretty much finished. We've got our player classes lined up and ready to go for level 4. Might need a little bit of balancing before everything's perfect, but time will tell. Until next time though, I'm Kyle. This has been that one playthrough of MMORPG Tycoon 2, and I will see you in the next episode. where we finally head to the capital city of Valkyrie.